the Pepco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. It's time for our weekly inbox segment where we take your email questions and we try to answer them. Barry, let's get right to it. This one comes from Reg. Reg says, Savannah State? There aren't enough negative words to come up with. If the NCAA had even an 8-team playoff, then teams wouldn't have to resort to this. If you know you can lose 2 games and still be in the playoffs, then you don't have to schedule what amounts to UCO. Ouch. OSU schedule, this is their opener, Barry.
Savannah State, clearly going to be the worst team OSU's played in the last 90 years at least. They're at the bottom of 1AA. They've won 20 games in the last 12 years. But I disagree with Reg. I don't think a playoff would solve this problem. Teams are scheduling like this because of finances. They want the extra home games. They're not doing it to build the win. OSU's past the point of trying to get bowl eligible. OSU's not trying to schedule its way into 10 wins or 11 wins. OSU's just padding the home games to pay the bills and bring in the revenue. So I think even a playoff wouldn't fix this problem.
I do think there's something to be said for finances, but I think some teams are making sure that they can still get into a good bowl game, maybe a BCS bowl game, maybe a national championship game, by scheduling those easier non-conference games. I mean, obviously, you look at LSU, they played in the national championship game last year, Barry, and they had perhaps the toughest non-conference schedule of anybody, but not many coaches take that risk anymore. They want to be able not only to have the revenue, but to get those wins and maybe get themselves a chance to get into those games. I sort of understand where coaches are coming from. Why wouldn't you schedule the easy wins?
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, we don't make it hard on coaches to incentivize the schedule at all. I do think this. We were playing for mythical national championships and polls and voting and all that in the 70s, and people weren't doing this before the finances skyrocketed and people were just looking for revenue anywhere they could find it.
That's true. All right, back to the inbox. Jason brings us this question. He says, I would rather play at West Virginia September 8th because there's a better chance Landry Jones will be healthy to play. And they have a new D coordinator, less time for the D to get his style and plan down. Barry, what do you think about OU and West Virginia, that matchup?
Well, they're not playing until November 17th unless they change that game. And I think Jason's got a great point. I think the Sooners might be better off playing West Virginia early rather than late. First of all, think about the weather. West Virginia can be a cold weather type of place. November 17th, a night game in Morgantown, it could be 30 degrees and rainy, which would not be good for anybody in Crimson.
I'm sure people won't be drinking that day either.
Yeah, so it's going to be a wild deal. I think the Sooners might be better off playing them early, and what he said is right. Now, you can also say Geno Smith, the West Virginia quarterback, is going to be better chance of healthy in September. But I like the part about the new defense. I think West Virginia will still be getting its bearings on in September. I think Sooners would be better off playing them early.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know if that schedule is going to change. I mean, maybe they would, but it looks like Oklahoma, they've released that non-conference schedule. I think the Big 12, Barry, and you've written about this, we've both written about this, inventory of quality games and how the Big 12, where they put those games, they're really looking to maximize that. Obviously, the addition of TCU, West Virginia, done to try to do that. But, they're just looking for great games to put on TV. Obviously, that's a great game. Regardless of where these teams are in the national championship picture, people are going to watch that. So they're thinking in terms of how can we spread this out so we give TV enough to put on TV? All right, back to the inbox. Bill asked this one. Bill says, I would like to suggest a candidate for Big 12 expansion. Florida State. FSU would give the Big 12 a major player in the Southeast as well as nationally and add some significant TV markets. Well, he's right about that, Barry.
Well, yeah, and I don't know, if you got Florida State to 11, maybe you could get USC, Notre Dame, and Michigan to come along and go to 14. Well, yeah.
Wait a minute, are you saying this is a little out of the question?
Yeah, here's the deal. Yeah, Florida State would be a great addition to the Big 12, but you can't go get a Florida State. The Big 12 is not proven its stability, and that's going to take a long time to get back. Until that happens, the Big 12 is not going to get anybody of national status, not anybody of substance in terms of high rank. You're only going to get teams that are trying to move up the ladder. A West Virginia needing to get out of the Big East, a TCU trying to get into a major conference. You're not going to get somebody from an established conference to come because the Big 12 has not proven its viability.
Yeah, this is getting TCU and West Virginia is not enough to make believers out of everybody in the country. A team like Louisville is probably the next type of step. And Barry, we've talked about this before, looking east. It looks like the Big 12 is sort of looking that direction, having added West Virginia. Maybe add some pieces between the current footprint that's very Midwestern and West Virginia. I mean, a team like Louisville would be an obvious one. I think that's where you've got to look at expansion, not West and probably, I mean, while there are some great teams in the Southeast, you're not going to go get those teams.
No.
Not going to get them at all. All right, Craig, this one's from you. Concerning Bob Stoops at Pebble Beach, what has he had time to practice on his, or when has he had time to practice on his golf game? Seriously, Barry.
I don't know that he has. I mean, Bob said he hadn't played since July, and
why wouldn't we believe that?
I think I'd believe him. I don't know when he could have played. I certainly saw no evidence that he played out in Arizona during the bowl game. I think he practiced. You know what? The signing day, the morning of signing day, he went out and hit some balls. He told us he went out to the OU golf course. That's the first time that week of signing day, which was 2 weeks ago. That's the first time he had to play since the middle of summer. So I don't think he has. Bob's actually a pretty good golfer. I was out at his tournament a few years ago. He eagled the 18th, or maybe it's the 9th. They switched him around, but he eagled the par 5 at the OU course on his own one year. So he's a really good golfer. So now, I don't think that, I don't think he tore up Spyglass Hill and Monterey Country Club, but he can go out there and he can hold his own.
Yeah, I don't think he has been practicing. But I think when you play a lot, and he probably does have stretches in the summertime when I think he does get out and play quite a bit. Being a guy who has been a former college athlete, still, gets some workouts in. I think he's physically probably able to go out there and sort of pick it back up, sort of like he's riding a bike. But yeah, obviously, I don't think there was a ton of evidence that he's been getting out in the middle of the night and practicing.
No.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he's had it.
He didn't eagle the 18th at Pebble
No,
Beach.
he did not. He did not. Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.